everybody. Welcome to Nobody Asked Us with Des and Kara. I'm so glad you're here today.
It's going to be one of those episodes. I feel it in my heart, in my cheeks.
And the tears coming down your face.
I'm so tired.
Okay, I apologize, everyone. I have a case of the giggles. Welcome.
Do you want to try it again? Try it one more time. I mean, we got to leave that in, but
okay.
And this is going to be a blooper reel eventually, 100%. But just let's try one more time. Let's see what you got. All right, ready?
Okay, here we go.
All right.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Nobody Asked Us with Des and Kara. We're so glad that you're listening. Des, how you doing today?
I'm so happy to be here. A little bit of the giggles. That's okay. Love the giggles. There's so much to talk about. I feel like this is going to be just chaos because the directions we are about to go. I'm in Detroit right now, and it's like, where the car was invented, in the first road in America. And it's organized in a spoke. So there's the center, and then the streets come off in a spoke. And that makes no fucking sense, right? Like, people are like, I need a grid in my life. I need to get around on a grid system. And this episode, I feel like, is going to be a spoke. So just get on board and get ready for a spin.
That was some interesting trivia. I did not know that about Detroit. I was like, where's she going with this?
Woodward Ave, beautiful long stretch you can see out the window here. Get some Detroit history for you.
Okay, well, actually, this is a cool tie-in because why are you in Detroit?
I live here.
No, you don't. Not right in that hotel room.
No, I don't. I live in Rochester, which is like 45 minutes from Detroit, and I am in a hotel in Detroit. It's the NFL draft.
What?
Happening in Detroit, which is great. I'm going to miss it. I'm going to be on an airplane. But your good friend, CB, sent me a message on the Instagrams, and she was like, yo, I'm going to be in town. Do you want to come hang out? And I was like, I'm leaving, but when do you get in? And so we met up for lunch. It was great. It was a stroke of luck.
It is a stroke of luck. It's very serendipitous. I love that you guys met for lunch. And also, we've talked about CB on the pod because we talked about the great race she had in Chicago when you broke the Masters American record. And also, she's the one that started the word game for us.
She did. And I'm sorry, I almost started laughing again really hard.
I'm going to laugh right now because I just want everyone to know that penetrate was not a word. I'm really sorry that I said it. I don't know why I said it.
What? That was a choice. Let's just talk about that.
I don't even think I've ever even used that word. I don't know where it came from. As soon as it came out of my mouth, I threw up a little. Des immediately was like, ew.
I want that back. Where do I put it? Not back in the mouth. In my brain? I don't want it there either. Like, in the garbage. Put it in the garbage. Yeah, no. But we're having this conversation about the words, and this has been ongoing.
Yes.
Where people are like, we have to know the words. And you're like, they have to know the words. And I think it's really funny that they're just sort of irritated. Do you ever watch this is Andy Kaufman, I think that's his name, comedy. And he was like, oh, I'm doing my show, TV, and I want to put static through the middle of it at a certain point in the show. And the producers are like, that's not funny. And he's like, yeah, it is. It's like every person in America will get up and knock on their TV.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's not really static. We're putting the static in, and they're like, that's not funny. And he's like, but it's funny for me. Right. I will, every person in America is going to think it's their TV, but it's going to be me. So I like that. I think it's funny, but I get that it's just for me. So you want to say the words.
I really want to be clear that you're the only one that didn't want to say the words, and everyone thinks you're wrong.
They're all smacking the side of my head. Stop with the static.
Yeah, they're not into the static. So I think it's time that we say the words, but also the last time only one person got it right. So we are saying 2 words in this episode, which we will share next time.
Yeah, that's
so
fine.
The words that Carrie, this whole thing started with Carrie daring us to do this. And she didn't know who she was messing with because there was a word that I wouldn't say, but you just went for it.
Well, you got it right now.
Actually, not really. You tried to get me to say it.
Uh,
And
did not
you
take the
threw
bait.
poor Ryan under the bus. Okay, so
Now you realize what's happening. You're like, oh, I walked myself right into having to say these words. Go
dang
ahead,
it.
Kara.
Okay, so the word that was icky that I didn't say, but it's not really worse than penetrate, is perineum. Is that how
That's
you
fair.
say it?
I
Okay.
don't know.
And then dingleberry, which Carrie thought would be so hard to say, or CB thought it would be so hard to say, but it wasn't that hard to say.
No, you nailed that. The dog
And
was being
then,
a bit of a dingleberry.
yeah, total dingleberry. And then the words from a couple episodes ago where everyone thought it was the P word, but it wasn't. The word I said was howdy at the top of the show.
Yeah, that was such
And
a
the
cop
word that
out.
you said was what? Do you remember?
I said bamboozled. And I want to give, like, I used it in a very appropriate way. I had a whole thing planned out and we were going through the show and I'm like getting ready. I'm like, okay, this is going to be good. And you had a hard exit that day. You were like, I have to be at this place. We have to stop at this time. So we're like, you put it in the chat box, like, are you going to use the word? And I looked at my watch and I'm like, shit, we're like not going to have time for the segment where I was very, calculatedly going to plug this in. And so you did bamboozle me. You took my segment. And so I used it correctly. But we were going to talk about the tax for going over the bridges in New York. And then just like,
Oh, right.
the city is just bamboozling the marathon. Like this isn't, and it was going to be great. And instead I had
That
to,
would have been great.
and then I
You're
put it in
right.
twice because I was like, well, maybe if I say it twice, it won't be so obvious. I'll be like, why would she use the word twice? And you guys were like, that was so dumb. If you hadn't said it twice, maybe people would have thought it was normal.
Yeah, I think
But I
you
was
kind of
feeling bamboozled. I tried to overthink it.
You tried to overthink it a little bit, but that would have been a great place. See, people, we have so many topics we want to cover,
I
but we just
know.
get lost in our own chit
Mess
chat.
ups on that.
Yeah. So now we
Laughter.
probably won't revisit that topic because now it's old news.
Well, you know my
Um,
feelings on it. It's a good old fashioned bamboozling.
that is not a word that you would ever use. Come on.
Did you ever watch Friends?
Yeah.
You remember when they played that? Joey Tribbiani was on a show called, he was going to be the
Yes.
announcer for the show called Bamboozled.
And it was like all these insane rules and they learned it.
You've been bamboozled.
Well, that would have been a good way to say it. Okay, anyhow, so we're saying the words. You got to guess them for this week though. Moving on.
Yeah.
Have you been listening to the new Taylor Swift album?
That's all I've been doing. I was like, I don't know if I have time to get down to Detroit. And then I was like, oh, that's an hour of car time. I could listen to the album.
Yes.
Excited.
So what are you liking about it?
Okay. Here's my thoughts on this. And you can tell me how you feel about it. I think that there's been a ton of reviews. There have been like, everyone's like, I got to have the first review. I have to like really critique it. I don't like this. I don't like that. Because that's what we do to Taylor Swift is like, we expect excellence every time. And that's fucking hard. But I think there's been a lot of times where I listen to a Taylor Swift album and I'm like, I don't really like it. Like when Look What You Made Me Do came out.
Yes, that's
like,
a perfect song for this
the
point.
real Taylor can't come to the fair right now. And everyone was like clowning on that shit. And then a month later, you were in your car and you were being sassy and you're like, fuck yeah, this is my jam. Right. And like,
yeah,
Taylor Swift albums are like wine that need to aerate. She needs to have some space to let that sucker breathe. And this is it's a double album. So you have 31 songs. Right now, everyone's like, I don't like this. I don't like that. Give it 2 months and you'll have like right now, little earworms are they're going in your head and they're like hatching seeds. And in 2 months, you're going to have a brain full of Taylor Swift earworms and you're going to be like, greatest work she's ever done. So I'm staying patient on it.
Okay, I love that you brought up that one particular song, Look What You Made Me Do, because I was still running competitively at the time. And Sarah Sutherland and Emma Coburn and I, we were like kind of arguing over it because Sarah Sutherland's like hardcore Taylor Swift. And we were like, we don't get it. And then you're 100% right. 6 months later, I'm like,
I'm sorry,
Kara can't come to the phone right now because she's dead.
Yeah. And you're like, this is hot, dude. This is the summer jam. And I hate everyone.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I do like this album. It's a lot to get through. Sometimes I wish Tay would just give us like 4 songs so that I could like listen and learn them. But like she's too good and too smart and writes too quick. 31 songs, but I love them. I mean, there's obviously some that I like more than others,
Do you have a
but
podium?
I do actually. I have my top 3.
That's a
Do you want to
podium.
hear them?
That'll work. Yep.
Okay,
Do you have
my
an
top
order?
3. Not necessarily.
Okay. There's a podium, but we don't know the places yet. Go for
Yeah,
it.
so I really like But Daddy, I Love Him. It's just like a little like lovey. I like it. Didn't like Who's Afraid of Little Old Me at first, but then all these people told me it reminded them of me, and so now I like really like it.
I can see it. I like it.
Yeah, I'm like, I do like that song. And then I really like Thank You, Amy, which I think is why I like it so much is it's like I like the beat of it. It's a little bit more upbeat than some of the other songs on the album. But the level of pettiness and
Uh-huh.
shade in this song, I think we all have a person or two in our lives that we would love to just like shade on so hard, but we don't because I don't know
We're
why we don't because
adults.
Taylor Swift is doing it.
Yeah.
We're adults,
And
yeah.
she's monetizing it. She's like,
Yeah,
good
but
on
it's
you.
just like when I'm listening to that song, all I think about is the emoji with the sunglasses on. I'm like, this is just shade, and it's I in a weird way, I'm like embarrassed for her, but also like empowered by her ability to just be like, yeah, I'm calling out this person, right?
I feel like she's in a phase where she's like, she's super frustrated and she's like, I just want to see what I can get away with. Like, it's sort of this weird, rebellious, like, what's going to make you stop loving me? Because, like, there's clearly like a thing where she's like, the fans are fucking nuts, right?
Oh yeah.
And it's a good thing, but it's also like, it's her life's just crazy. And so it's sort of, I feel like this thing where she's like, can I break some of you? Or are you guys just like, what kind of level of crazy am I dealing with?
Like if someone else wrote "Thank You, Amy" and capitalized the Kim in the title and talked about a bronze statue and the daughter singing the songs, I feel like there would be backlash of like, that's mean. That's petty. But it's not when it's Tay Tay. At least not yet. People are like, I love this song. Oh my gosh, this is so amazing. And I like this song too. But yeah, it's I think I like it because I think like we all have a few people who have hurt us in our lives, right? And it, like even I'm not even talking specifically about running, but that too. Like Who's Afraid of Little Old Me makes me think of me versus Salazar all the way, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we all have people that have harmed us, and it would like it's almost like a fantasy to be able to just put them on blast, and
Right.
but we don't
Right.
because there's things and
Probably
jobs and
shouldn't.
just like etiquette. But
Yeah,
Taylor Swift just put it on blast, and she has a following that no one else has. So I don't know. It's just fascinating to me.
definitely. I think the album's going to keep growing, and there's going to be more and more that people are like, oh, I love that. I love that. Maybe these
Yeah.
few. I didn't particularly love. I hate that I'm saying this, but I didn't particularly love Taylor jumping into the sports ball talk. Didn't love
Yeah.
the sports metaphor. They were a little too cheesy for me.
I
Like,
think that's totally
ooh.
fair. Yeah.
It kind of like, ugh, I didn't like it. But
Right.
I love Florida. I think
Yeah,
that
that's a good one.
the Taylor's voice with Florence's voice is just like, there's so much.
It was really they melt
Yeah,
really good together.
it's
Very
really
good.
good. And then I really like, I think it's Clara Bow,
Mhm.
which I think the story in there is so applicable to so much and how women are treated in industries. And it just like, thanks for saying it. It's got to be
Yeah.
said. So I loved
I
that.
think do love that you can listen to her music and really see yourself in different songs.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she's probably singing that has nothing to do with you, but you can see
Right.
yourself in it.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think that's part of the obsession is like you listen and so many people can see themselves in the lyrics or reminds them of a time in their life. And I think she really nails that ability to connect with people as far as like, oh, I feel that. I like literally can feel that while I'm listening to the music. It's pretty special.
It's rare. It's impressive. Yeah. Any final thoughts on the Tay Tay album?
No, I am with you. I was so overwhelmed by the 31 songs, so overwhelmed, and I listened to them all and then I was like, I don't know what I think. But now I'm like slowly getting through it, listening to it every time I run, and I totally agree with you that it's going to grow and there's going to be more meaning in it. It was interesting like within it dropping within hours, people were saying what their favorite songs were and I was like, when did you have time to listen to
Yeah.
them all?
How do you know? Yeah.
What's happening? Like, did you literally just not go to work today? Or how is this happening?
It's a holiday.
Yeah.
Should be a holiday. And then the double
Yeah.
album, you should get 2 days for sure.
Right. Yeah. All
I was
right.
I'm going to say one last thing because I just
Yeah.
want to get this on your radar. I was messaging with Allie on the rebound about some of this stuff. And I just want to do that because I'm trying out new nicknames for Allie on the run, Allie on the rampage, Allie on the romp.
I like that. I thought that's who you were talking about, but I was like, what?
She wasn't sold on any of them, but
Okay. Well, we
Allie on
can
the
keep
rebound,
thinking.
that'd be fun.
That is fun. She didn't like that one?
She was a moderate. She's lukewarm on it.
Okay. It maybe Allie on the something about like I want to say reformation, but that's not what I want. Like a rebirth or something, right? Like she's she's taken back her life. I don't
Mm,
know. We'll work on it. We got you,
yeah,
Allie. We'll work on it.
yeah. It nickname season. We're gonna get you something. Okay, that was a tangent. Sorry.
Okay, that was a tangent. There's one thing I just wanted to say, which is that if you follow sports, you might have noticed this big bombshell of a report in the New York Times this past weekend, or 2 weekends ago, by the time this comes out, about WADA and test cover-ups and Chinese swimmers, and it's ongoing. So I encourage everyone to look into it. But I just want to acknowledge that it's happening because I think it's huge news, and I do want Des and I to dive into it. But I serve on the board at USADA, and since they might get sued, I can't really talk about it yet, just in case.
Don't talk about it. But I have opinions, and wow, just yeah,
Yeah,
read up on it. I think that's the
yeah.
place to
I
start.
think it's like a
Everyone,
good
go
place for
yourself.
educate yourself, read the article, watch the German documentary. I spent an hour and 45 minutes watching the WADA press conference that they did.
Oh shit, for you.
Yeah,
I thought you were gonna say learning
and
German.
yeah, no. They have it in subtitles now, the four
Okay,
part series, but it's really interesting and really devastating. And I feel like it even deserves its own pod anyway. Once I get like the
yeah,
approval that I can speak my mind freely on it, I feel like it deserves its own attention. But I didn't want to act like that didn't happen because
yeah.
obviously it's huge for all sport, not just swimmers, just everybody. I mean, WADA is the World Anti-Doping Agency. So they are the above the USADA here in the United States. They are the world. So anyway, I just wanted to acknowledge that.
Worth acknowledging. It'll be pivotal stuff, and it's going to be ongoing. So no need to
Yes.
jump in without all the information.
Right. Okay. So then another thing we were going to talk about was our Koros data from Boston Marathon weekend. You posted yours.
I did. They had me stack like 3 years together.
That was
Um,
cool.
yeah, it's great. And people were like, "What do you know about the tangents? You ran 26.3." I'm like, "Okay, that is pretty fucking good." I also high fived a dude on the side of the road for one section. So you factor that in, and that's pretty good tangent running. Um, yeah, I think, I don't know. What do you want to talk about? You want to talk about when I fell apart? That
No,
was
I don't want to
fun.
talk about when you fell apart, but I want to talk about like because you have 3 years like that, did you
Yeah.
learn anything by comparing the data?
Um, yeah, I mean, it was fascinating, like just the level of consistency. I think
Mm-hmm.
you take in conditions. Allison at Koros had talked to me about it prior, and she's like, "Do you want to do these couple Bostons?" And I was like, "I don't know. I don't think I've run a good Boston in a while. I thought I was running like 235s or whatever." And then I was like, "Oh, these are actually pretty respectable." And then you're like, "They're all the same. Like they're pretty much the same."
What do you mean you thought you would run 235?
Well, it was a couple years ago. I ran a pretty bad one, and then I was like, I haven't had a good one there in a while. 227s, 220. No complaints. They're fine.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, then I was like, okay, these I'm not embarrassed of these. Let's put them together. Um,
Yeah.
and they were pretty much the same. And then like you look at that, and I think it's interesting to see the different strategies too. Like when you start to go deeper into splits, and you're like, well, I went out harder this year. I didn't have the legs of the last 4 to 5. In the past, I've like really been able to make up a lot of time there, and like I think you can use that long term view to kind of tweak things a little bit better in terms of race strategy. But then you factor in weather, and it also becomes like, well, I don't know, maybe that was a better decision on the day.
What was your heart rate like throughout the 3 years? Was it pretty this much the same, or did it vary?
I think
I
it
feel
was
like
pretty
I should pull it up.
similar. I should look that up, but I honestly, that's not a metric I use all that much. And they like, I love the armband heart rate monitor is so good, and I
Oh,
love it.
yeah?
Like, I would like, I think it captures the best data, but I don't like
You don't
use
wanna
heart
race
rate
with it.
for my training really. So I'm like,
Oh, interesting. You've never
yeah,
been a heart rate person?
no. Like people
Oh,
ask, and I'm like, I don't know, ballpark like somewhere between 30 and 170.
wow. So I'm looking at your thing right now, and your heart rate average is really varied over the 3 years.
Okay.
That's fascinating to me. Your average pace isn't. It's within 4 seconds over these 3 years. That's crazy.
Yeah. We got to shake
So
something up.
yeah, so that's interesting. I definitely wasn't heart rate based until the very end of my career when I moved back to train with Mark Wetmore because he's pretty heart rate based.
Mhm.
But for most of my career, I was not
Do you feel
at
like
all.
that is a better gauge at altitude than like pace per se? Like, or
Yeah,
just
I think it just
a
gave me so much information of like when I was run down or and I wasn't like the person that's like taking my heart rate before bed and when I wake up, but just like writing it down every day in my logbook, and then we could go and compare to different workouts, and then we could see my heart rate coming down on certain long runs, even though I was maintaining the same pace. And we really used it a lot for like getting in the groove of marathon pace up here because like it's tough to know what exactly it is. So there was a workout I did leading into the trials, which I did like pretty much every other week. This loop that is called the Kara loop. You might see like the boss team calls it the Kara loop and stuff, but it's like a loop that's a little over 4 miles. And then, so I would do that twice. And then I would do like a 2 mile all out at the end. And I did that workout consistently. And I could see, I would really try to not look at my splits and really just focus on the heart rate data during that time. So I think but you have to know it well. Like that's one thing people will be like, oh, your heart rate changed. What should I do? It's like, it takes time to really plot out what it is for you. You know what I mean? Like you
yeah.
can't just be like, well, I should be at 165 average here. And also over the course of the marathon, your heart rate is continually getting higher as the race goes on, right? So I think that heart rate data can be really helpful, but you have to be patient with it and know that it's going to take you months to build up till you really know what your data means.
Yeah. That
Yeah.
makes a lot of sense. And I could probably look at it and jump in pretty quickly just because it's been stored in the app for
Oh,
like
yeah. You could
so long.
easily figure it out. Yeah. Yeah. I'm
Wait,
kind
what's let's get into your data from the 5K. What was your heart rate?
It was 164, which totally
Okay.
makes sense because
Yeah.
I was totally on the edge. My max was 185, which
Okay.
makes total sense because my marathon pace would be in the mid to high 150s, but I was running a lot harder effort-wise than
Mhm.
I was there. So yeah, my average was 164, which makes complete sense. Maxing out at 185 makes complete sense because I was
Could you feel that?
yeah, the last 200, my heart was about to beat out of my chest. So all of it totally matches up with what I would think. I didn't wear the armband
Yeah.
because I just hadn't had it long enough and I just didn't know, but I still feel like that's pretty accurate. Like that lines
Yeah.
up with my old data
Yeah, yeah.
100%.
I think the
Yeah.
wrist is really good. I think the armband is like great. You know,
Yeah.
that's kind of my feelings on the two pieces. But yeah, and then I use the watch like overnight for some of the metrics with heart rate variability and like making sure you're getting kind of resting heart rate. And I totally agree in that that stuff is like predictive of something's coming your way,
Right.
like you need to back off because you know you don't feel it quite yet, but there's the signals, and I think
Mhm.
that's a pretty valuable part of the tool personally.
Yeah. What did your I can go back and look, but what did it say your running performance percentage?
I want to say it was like 110.
Okay, what does that mean exactly?
It means I'm amazing. I broke the metric.
Oh, no, I need to know because mine says 120%. Granted,
Yeah.
I'd only worn it twice. It was like, dude, you're totally overachieving for your fitness level.
Yeah, that's
But is
basically
okay.
like relative to the rest of the work you're doing. This is excellent.
I'm scrolling 3 years again. Everybody go on Dez's Instagram and you can see the 3 years. It is amazing how consistent you are. It's amazing.
It's kind of irritating though, no? Like, hey, dude, try something. Try something. Try to be spectacular today and at least blow up trying.
No,
Like,
I don't
I
want
don't
that for
know.
you. I
All
think
right.
I already said this in my drunken state, but I just want to reiterate it because now I'm stone cold sober.
Boom.
I think like I was coached by Jerry Schumacher for 2 years, and he was always like, "You only have so many good performances in you," and it kind of bugged me because he was like, "You've used up most of them, like you only have one big one left," and I'd be like, "Why am I running a major? I want to like save it for the Olympics." But whatever. I get his point was that like you can't go to the well and do that. Like at some point, your body starts to break down. But I'm telling you, watching you run that, and I know that you had some difficulties at Mile 18, but I think there's some reasons for that. I think you still have another one that you would be happy about in your
Yeah.
body. One
That's
that
the
you'd be
only,
like,
yeah.
yeah, that was good. Because right now you're always like, blah, blah, blah. But I feel like you have one more where you'd be like, yeah, that was good.
I
For
hope
sure.
so. That's the only
You
reason I
do.
keep fucking training. Now I gotta correct myself and us on the freshy fresh, the buzzy
Okay.
buzz, whatever you want to call them. You were like, hey, like race directors, stop giving her so much shit to do. Now I'm gonna take
Yeah.
responsibility for it because it's like the race directors, right, Kate, um, like Sam Grotwald, Carrie Winkowski, whoever's in charge, they give me a very minimal fair amount of stuff to do, and then I'm an idiot and I'm like, I
Right.
can do more,
Okay.
and like you only get so many paydays, and so you know you
I
got to
get
make
it.
the so
And
it's my own fault. I'm going to take
okay.
ownership
I
and
get that.
responsibility here, but
Yes.
I get the point. I just want to
Yes.
let them off
This
the hook. That wasn't
Okay,
fair.
and that is true. That is true. They asked you to do like one or two things, which is totally
And I'm
manageable,
like,
and
no,
then
I
you
could
have
do
like a
10.
million. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Which you're doing it because you like interacting with people and you like hyping it. But so maybe this is more to you.
It is. I know.
I really don't want you to do that in your next marathon.
All
I
right.
really want you to say, "I'll do whatever you want after." Hey, you're an MC now. You can do a million things
I got your
after.
birthday party.
Yeah, that's
You want
right.
a wedding? I got you. I get
Sweet
certified.
16, here comes Des Linden.
Oh, remember when they had that show where they like did all
Oh,
the
yeah.
crazy? We could have been on that.
That show what blew my mind.
It's so depressing.
Did you have a big 16?
God no. I mean, it was a totally normal one.
Yeah. Okay. It's like putting hundreds of thousands of dollars or tens of thousands of dollars into a 16-year-old's birthday. Like, guys, if you have that much money, like, I don't know, maybe donate some.
Do you want to sponsor a pod?
Yeah, or come to us.
Yeah. I'll
Yes.
take your money.
Yeah.
That's funny.
But
Sorry.
anyway, so now I'm basically telling you,
Yes. Okay. I need this
just
stuff. I need to hear.
be okay to just put your feet up, man.
Yeah.
There's another big one in there that you're going to be like, that was good.
Yeah. All right.
You're like,
That's a
okay,
good.
I'm so uncomfortable right
That
now.
was a good
Whatever.
talking to. No, no. I think sometimes, trust me, my coach should be like, "Thank you, Kara."
You're
What's wrong
welcome.
with her? So it's fair, but I just wanted to take responsibility for that because
Right. Because MK
it's
didn't have
on
you running
me.
around Boston.
No,
You had you running around
she was
Boston.
like, "Sit down, get off your feet."
Right. Yeah.
So
Okay. That's a good correction.
yeah,
Do we want to, now that you've had a chance to look at the results, do you want to talk about the elite races at Boston? I mean, you were
let's
in one,
let's
but
gloss over them a little bit because
okay.
I've looked at them, but I honestly I didn't watch the tape, so I feel like it's like a lot of our recaps where I'm like, yeah, I saw what I liked and focused on what I wanted to see, and then
There's
do you have
nothing
any
wrong with that.
do you have any opinions?
Well, I went back and looked at some of Obiri's splits just because I feel like the marathon has changed so much. It's like you have to run 22 miles and then you have to run a track race. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
wild. So I looked at some of her splits, and from mile 21 to the finish, she averaged 456. And there's a 442 in there. And I'm just thinking, like, if you're trying to beat her, Like, and you want, or
Yeah.
you're like, I want to be the next great marathoner. How do you beat someone like that?
Right. Like, what's the strategy? Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I mean, that's a totally fair question. And I think that, 10 years ago, we would be talking about this and with coaches and trying to figure it out. And I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
Cause we haven't even seen like her top end yet because she's running tactical races. Right.
Right.
So, wow. But it's crazy where it's shifted to. Like in the past, I remember watching Rita Jeptu run those splits and being like, bullshit, like
Yep.
this isn't it. And that, like, I don't feel that is the case here, because not only did she do it, she had a handful of women go with her, and like
Mm-hmm.
that's
Oh
the
yeah.
new norm. So it's not like the radar is not going off. um but I have no clue. I mean, I think we'll see a trend with younger folks getting into the marathon earlier and succeeding almost immediately, where it was like, oh, experience means so much, you learn the distance, like there's all this things that can go wrong during 26.2, so you figure it out, and then you'll have like this peak of your career, like kind of in the middle. And I
Mm-hmm.
don't think that's going to be the case. And I think that these people coming off the track are running so quick, and it's just going to translate like that. And so I don't know, maybe I'll be wrong, but that's I think if you're a trackster, you want to be a marathoner, move on up now, give
Do
it a
you think
try.
your careers can last as long in that way? I mean, I know that we know careers, there's a lot of argument that careers are lasting. I can't say that word right now. Careers are lasting longer because of shoe tech and recovery. Um, but if you're, I mean, shoe tech, it's obviously changed the sport, right? We know that. It's changed the race day, it's changed the preparation, it's changed the recovery, but you're still like running really hard, right? And you still have to train really, really hard. So it's still, is it still beating up your body? Like, I'm just thinking if someone goes to the marathon at 24 instead of waiting till they're 30 or whatever, are we still going to see them racing at the top level at 40?
I think they'll be much shorter, personally.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that you're getting a lot more return from the shoe, right? So that energy
Hmm.
is like coming back up. Like it's got to go somewhere, right? So whatever your weak point is just going to get smashed by that over and over and over. So as soon as you find that spot that starts to get like a little nicked up, and you might not even notice it yet, like I think that using those shoes and going so fast is it's going to just really highlight those weak points, and then injuries are going to become bigger. That's just a
Hmm.
theory.
I think that's a good theory.
And I don't want it to be true. Like I want everyone to be healthy for a very long time and have long careers. But also like maybe that's not the goal. I don't know. Like
Right.
would you rather have two fucking lights out years and be done, or do you want to be running 228s when you're 40?
Right. I don't know.
I don't know. It's different for everyone.
It is different for everyone.
What do you think? Shorter, longer, different?
I feel like it has to be shorter because even though you're recovering better, but that's why you're running so fast, right? So you're
Yeah.
still running hard. But I don't know enough, but I have talked to some doctors that are like, there's a price to pay. You're short circuiting your body's ability to like take the load and then push it back off. So something is being short circuited. So over time, just kind of like what you said, over time, something's getting weaker. And unless you're wearing super shoes 100% of the time, like, and even if you're doing that, then you're just getting, your Achilles is getting weaker. Like I've had doctors just say it's a, that they really want to focus on not wearing them all the time, and especially not in the youth and all that kind of stuff, which I get. So I just seems like it seems like it's too good to be true that you could just get away with it and just do it forever. And I'm not saying that they're not training hard. So I don't
Oh
need a
yeah.
million messages. I'm saying they're training very, very hard because
Yeah.
they're training so hard because the times now are expected to be different. I'm not saying they're not training hard, but I am saying that training in these shoes doesn't allow for full flexion of your foot, doesn't allow for full absorption, and that's being cut off. And so that's changing your entire anatomy in your lower legs. And I feel like there is going to be a price to pay for that. But I don't know for sure. That's just what
Yeah.
I think.
There was an interesting conversation in baseball, because they went to like this pitch clock, and so you're like the pitcher's on a clock, and then the beginning of the season there was a larger number of injuries, and they were talking to a veteran, Justin Verlander, and he's had a great career, really long, just fantastic pitcher. And he was like, it's totally different. Like the things that the athletes are doing now, like they are skipping steps. They're throwing the ball so hard at such a young age because that's what they have to do. And if they want to make the next level. So like growing into your body and development has all kind of been condensed, and like that's probably a little bit of a product of the injuries as well. And it was this really
Mhm.
long kind of thing that he broke down, changes to the baseball and changes in the game and the requirements for what these kids are doing. But it was an interesting kind of comparison, and just like, yeah, like kids are getting really good really quick, and so to keep up and like have a shot, you have to change the way you attack the sport. And so it's not just in running, it's like across the
Right.
board. It's like you adapt or die. But is that a good thing? I don't know. We'll see.
Right. I mean, I always think baseball is an interesting example when you watch the Little League World Series. And then if you follow where those athletes end up going, it's not usually as far as you'd think or very far at
Yeah.
all,
Yeah.
which I think speaks to this whole thing of like having to be good, having to train hard, having to skip steps just to be there, but it costs you in the long term.
For
All right, well,
sure.
this is kind of sad.
Womp womp.
Well, let's talk about just real quick the men's race. Sisay Lemma won, and he ran it in a way. I was so rude. I was like, dude, what's he thinking? He's going to get caught. He's run Boston before and he always drops out. Like, what is he thinking? And he won. He ran away with it. It was crazy.
Yeah, you can steal it. Like you can steal it, but you got to be but like a little out of your mind, right?
And like fully committed to the plan, right? Like you
Mhm.
can't second guess yourself at mile 20 like what was I doing, or even at mile 13. You have to be like fully committed to I'm stealing this race right now.
And you have to be really good. Like Chepangetich would always do that in Chicago. You're like, why is she doing that? They're going to be peeling her off the ground at 21. Like, get the
Right.
stretcher ready. And her tactic was like, I will die less than you. I'll kill you
Yes.
over the first half, and then I will
I'll die
stay
less and I'll
alive.
still have a 30-second lead,
Yeah.
even if you start closing in on it,
But
right?
man, that looks terrible. It just looks so hard.
Yeah, it looked hard. And he didn't look like he was having fun. He didn't look like he was having fun from like the half point on, but he won
He's having
and he
fun
got to
now.
enjoy it. I mean, he was way ahead at the finish. I kept thinking they were going to eat into his time because he was
Mhm.
slowing down, but it seemed like the chase pack sort of had decided that he was gone, and then they were playing tactical with each other.
Right.
And it felt like they gave up. They were like, yeah, no, he's gone. And I think if they had fought a little bit and worked with each other, they might have been able to close the gap, but he got the job done. He convinced them that it was impossible to make up. He
Yeah.
stole it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Robbery. It's great.
Robbery.
The
I didn't
Boston
tell
robbery.
the Boston robbery. Good for him. He was
Yeah.
funny. He came to the after party that we were emceeing. Again, updated resumes, as you said. We can come to your party now. And he was drinking the beer and having like the time of his life, wearing
Had the
his
hat
bucket hat.
on. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, good for him. Like sometimes you see athletes like do really well and I just want them to enjoy it. I want them to be like,
Mhm.
yeah, that was a big deal. And I felt like he was nailing it. Like he was
Yeah.
enjoying that. He was soaking it in.
He knew
And
the
that was actually
moment.
really fun to
Yeah.
see. Yeah.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah.
Love that.
I didn't tell you I was going to ask you about this, but London
Okay.
was this weekend. Did you see any of
Sure
that
was.
results?
I did. Yeah, I mean, obviously, so much on the line. Like
Yes.
the Olympic spots. I'm feeling good about who I think is going to be on the team. And I think London, that was kind of the last spot for
Mm-hmm.
the women. Like
Well, who do you
whoever.
think is going to be on it?
Ooh, do you want to know?
Let's say them together.
Okay, you want to go one for one?
Yeah.
Okay, you go first.
I think Obiri is going to be named.
I
We're
think
talking about
Obiri's
Team
going to.
Kenya here.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Obiri.
Obiri. I
Mm-hmm.
I think Lokedi. I want.
What I thought was cool was that Obiri was like making
Yeah.
a case for her, arguing for her, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel confident for her. I don't know why. I
Okay.
just don't. I think
I'd agree.
that
Yeah.
Perez Chepchircher, who won London, she's been injured, but she won the Olympics last time. She won New York. And I mean, I felt happy for her. Like she's been injured the last couple of years and you could see the emotion on her face. I feel like they'd be crazy to leave her off the team. She's back and I was watching the footage of her running the last 200 meters and I was like, oh my God, this is
Yeah.
crazy. She looks like she's running an all out, like she's a quarter miler.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Insanity.
Yeah. So that would be my second person. Do you think she has a shot?
She's my third. Jep Chitcher
Okay.
is going to make the
Oh,
team.
so
She
you're
got
going
it
with
done.
those three.
She got it done in London, 2:16, beat everyone who she needed to beat, and she's a defending champ. I also think that win helps Kipchoge's case, where it's like, well, they both are defending champs. They deserve to be on the team. Now you can't really argue against her, and how are you going to argue against Kipchoge? So I think that changed some things on the men's side, weirdly. Who's your third?
I don't really know.
Okay.
I feel like it's still a hodgepodge.
It is.
But I hear what you're saying. And I know that the course in Paris is bonkers, right?
Yeah.
And we're hopefully going to have our U.S. women's team on the pod to talk about it because they all got to go see it. But Dakota was saying it's like insane. And so I think picking people who have proven they can run on these challenging tactical courses is really important. That does make an argument for Lekedi, for sure. Like, who else is going to Boston and New York and running these challenging courses?
Been, win or runner up. Or was she in New York last year?
I think she was third, but still podiums.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she's super reliable. That's hard to argue against, but she doesn't have the fast time.
She doesn't have the fast time. And I feel like but neither does Obiri, but we know her track speed and her World Cross Country, obviously, championship.
Pretty much perfect in the marathon. I mean,
right.
The debut.
Right. I just think like someone like Lekedi doesn't have that last little bit to argue for, right? Because, I mean, now you're talking about someone who just ran 2:16 in a women's only race, and then with Chip Churcher and Obiri, I don't know. I mean, it's just crazy. The amount of talent, it's crazy.
What's Lekedi's halftime? Do we know?
I don't know.
Katie. I'm sure it's fast. You don't even have to look it up. I'm just making me sad again.
I did think something kind of funny, not funny, but interesting on the men's side in London was seeing Kenenisa Bekele get back out there one more time. He's like 41 or something now, and he ran 2:04. I think he was second or third. I don't know. Does Team Ethiopia put him back on the team?
You have to. Why wouldn't you?
Well, because he's one of the greatest track athletes of all time, but his marathoning has been like hit or miss. It's like go for broke or drop out. Yeah. But it would be cool to see him line up in Paris, I think.
I could see
Have we ever seen him on a challenging course, though? Actually, now that I said that out loud, I kind of want to take it back. I don't think we've ever seen him run. Didn't
he run New York? Did I make that up?
I don't feel like that. I feel like he always runs Berlin. Okay, well, this is why we're not on the committee.
I don't know. I would do more research if I were, but I didn't know we were talking about Kenenisa Bekele.
Okay, sorry. Okay,
no, it's fine. Say it. It's okay. I watched some of the race. I watched the finish. So yeah, I think he made a great argument for himself, and like that storyline for him would be so cool.
Yes.
I know that's not part of it. Like that's the thing with Kipchoge. Like if you're really going like who's the best team, you can't use his history too much. You can't be like, well, he's defending champ, so he has to be on it. It's like, yeah, but that's 4 years ago. Like,
right.
Let's stay very present, and then it gets a little bit different. But experience matters. So I don't know. Anyhow, I digress.
Okay, well, the last thing we were going to talk about today, and I just have to say, I'm going to quote your husband because it was so funny. So we're going to talk about the Olympic uniform scandal. And we talked about it briefly at the live Boston show. And we get in the car to drive back to the hotel, and Ryan's like, I love how you say she waited and she freaking cannonballed her way. It was so funny because why did I say wade your way in? You have opinions on this, and you're just like, here's my opinion. So we're going to talk about this a little bit here. Cannonball! coming in
Right.
hot. So just to set the stage for anyone who doesn't know, there was a picture that went up on a social media page of the reveal of the Olympic track and field uniforms, and the men's uniform had a singlet and
As bodysuit.
no, it was a singlet
Was it?
with
Okay.
half tights.
Okay.
And then the women's was a speed suit, but the speed suit looked very, 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 very high cut in the front.
Yeah, it looked like an
And
80s dance thing,
yeah,
right?
yeah, where
Like a
you would have tights
leotard.
underneath it.
Right.
Yeah. And it just blew up. And there's a lot of opinions on this. I think it's a very nuanced conversation. But Des did Des things. It was just like, I don't even know what to say. Okay, so how do we want to talk about this?
I mean, I first of all, I didn't even know it was a thing. So Ryan is the one who started this because he knew I would get upset, and so he sent me the screenshot as we were boarding the flight to Boston, and I was like, "Oh, hell no!" Um, the thing about the uniform is that I get that there's a lot of pieces to this. I
Yes,
understand
so
that
much.
this is the reveal. Nike put together this massive event in Paris. I'm sure it cost a bajillion dollars. All kinds of media out there, amazing photographers. They brought in their best athletes to showcase these uniforms. And it's a whole set, you know? And it's not just like, hey, the men get this kit and the women get this kit. So this image itself is like there's questions about that. Is was this supposed to be used? Like we can go into that, but it doesn't represent what the uniforms are as a whole. It's one option. And that's like the biggest takeaway for me, like, and watching this kind of thing unfold is so the one image is used, it's pointed out as like this is offensive and sexist, and there's some arguments there for sure, but that's not like you're leaving out, it's like you're leaving out very important information. So this
Mm-hmm.
thing catches fire, and now you have CNN, Wall Street Journal, New York Times, like big media outlets using this image as the uniform for track and field. So that is gone out again without any sort of information that there are more options and athletes have a choice in how they want to compete and what they want to compete in. And I guess for me, the frustrating part is like by not talking about the other options and the choice involved, if, and I know this because as a kid, when you got the media packets for colleges and like the women's team in the swimsuit, you know, I'd be like, I would not go there. I
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't go there. And if I'm on the fence about something and I'm like, well, I like this school and this school, but like I those make me uncomfortable. Like I would have made the decision to just throw out that from I don't want to do it. So if you have a kid who's reading all this stuff and they think that's their only option and they're on the fence, like, I don't know, I might want to run track in school. Maybe I want to play basketball. I might do soccer. Like, and they see it and they don't know about the choice. And that's something that changes I just think that that's unfair. So that's one part of it. Do you want to weigh in?
Yeah, I do. I actually have a friend whose daughter saw it and was like, I would not want to run in the Olympics. I would never want to wear that.
Yes.
And so that I think is valid. I think one of the things that has also gotten lost in the shuffle, and look, read my book. I am not a Nike fan.
Yes.
And this is an
I'm not
easy
defending Nike
yeah,
here.
yeah. This has nothing to do with the brand overall or whatever,
Yeah.
or my thoughts and feelings on it. But I feel like this is an easy place to dunk on Nike if you want. Nike didn't release that photo,
No.
right? That photo hasn't been seen on anything related to Nike. And even my sister, who her husband works there, and like she was like, whoa, that was an alarming photo. But like that's not, but they didn't approve that photo. We haven't seen it fit on anybody or any mannequin like that anywhere else. And I think that's problematic. I feel like we kind of got clickbaited. And I do think it can lead to a bigger conversation about like, does sexism like, what am I trying to say? Does it live in track and field? I think you could argue that, yes, like on some of the past choices of uniforms and things, how they're done. But I think that photo is tricky. there have been multiple Nike athletes who said, when I saw that photo, I freaked out, but I got the uniform and I got to try it on. And that's not how it fits. In fact, someone sent me a picture of someone who worked on those uniforms, couldn't believe how this was blowing up. And she sent a picture to her friend with the uniform on a mannequin, and it fit nothing like it did in the photo that was released to the world. And he sent it to me, and I said, well, this is a PR problem then, because the thing you just sent me that's a great option. Also, I want to say, even if it was cut really high, I would never wear that. I would never feel comfortable wearing that, but I would never wear a speed suit either. And one thing that you pointed out is like, okay, if it is cut, let's say it is cut like that, which I feel like we're learning it's not, and someone decides to wear it, like, I don't, like, you really made this point of like, should they feel bad that they want to wear that outfit? Right? I mean, you made
Right.
that really good point. Like, if you feel confident in that uniform, then nobody, like, we shouldn't be slamming the uniform. Like, if you want to have a bigger conversation of like, how did uniforms come to be and why do women wear buns and men don't? Like, that's a different conversation. I don't even know the history of it, so I'm not going to pretend like I do. But I just feel like there's a lot of problems in it. I will say the comments on this post are so funny. And whenever I'm having a bad day, I just go over there. I mean, like, literally the company European Wax was like, if you make Team USA,
We got you.
hit us up. Yeah, we'll
We
take
got
care
you
of you for
covered
free.
or uncovered or whatever. I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah, it's so freaking funny.
Yeah.
But I think yeah, I think a lot of things. And I do think it's important to note that you get multiple options, right? Like, that speed suit is now coming in the same exact style, but with a built-in short, because Sha'Carri Richardson last year at World Champs wore the speed suit with shorts under it. So there's so many different options. I think the sight of that uniform next to the men's uniform, it was shocking, right? It just was. It looked very, very different than what the men were wearing.
Yeah, I do want to weigh in on options in general because I think that this is something to consider too. Like, we want equality, and I've heard a lot of people be like, "Why can't we just have like what the men have?" You know, and is it numbers? I don't think so. I think it's the right to be comfortable and confident while competing. Like, to have a kit that makes you feel comfortable and confident. And that's where the equality is. So if the men get 5 kits and then you're saying, well, we want equality, and the women have 17 kits, and now you're like, no, no, we only want 5. I don't think that's the right direction. Like, it's not
Right.
about the numbers, it's about the ability to feel comfortable while competing. And I think that whether you like that kit or not, like, having it in the lineup as another option for women is great, and
Mm-hmm.
some people will pick it and some people won't. And there's something like, more options is higher chance that someone's going to have the right to be comfortable while competing. And all of that to say, none of it excuses the initial photo. 100% agree. Shocking on the mannequin, but really when you get to the heart of it, is like, is the mannequin bad? Was this
Right.
intentional? Like, what was this, an embargoed photo that was never supposed to go out? To me, it's like, you have this massive event in Paris that you've dumped a ton of money into. That's not the photo or the outlet that you wanted out to put the first image out. That was not supposed to happen that way, is my guess.
You haven't seen that photo anywhere else.
No, it's a
Anywhere.
watermarked.
Yep. It hasn't been seen on a Nike outlet. It hasn't been seen anywhere else, just on that one. And I can understand when I saw it, I was like, oh my God,
Yeah.
that is so revealing. And I'm like, my immediate thought is like, I would never wear that. But I think that's worth like noting that we haven't seen it anywhere else. We've seen it on real human beings and it doesn't fit like that. I have seen it on a mannequin and it didn't fit like that on the mannequin that I saw it on, which was a different mannequin. But yeah, I mean, it's just gotten to be this massive conversation. And I think the options thing is like the biggest thing that I wish people knew. Right?
Yeah.
Like, you didn't like to race in buns and a crop. and you had the option to wear what you wanted to wear. And when I was in high school, I was like, I will never wear briefs and a crop. Like I would never do that. When I was a professional, that's what I felt the most
That's
comfortable
it.
in.
Yeah.
That's what I felt the most comfortable. I didn't like to feel shorts flapping, and I didn't like a long jersey. And I have the right to do that. I have the right to wear what I feel comfortable in, just like you do, just like that poor mannequin does.
They had
You
no
know?
say. Aw.
So yeah, it turned into such a big deal. And I'm glad
Yeah.
that I kind of stayed out of it. I mean, I was like laughing and rolling at some of the comments. I'm not gonna lie. Like I was like, this is so funny.
Yeah.
And I also thought that there were some athletes that showed really good humor. Like Sinclair Johnson wrote on that thing. She's a Nike athlete. She's like, hey guys, even when I saw this, I was like, oh my gosh. But like, and she's like, and these comments are hilarious. And well, they're welcomed according, but she was like, just so you know, I've tried it on, doesn't fit like that.
Yeah.
And I just think, I don't know, I appreciated athletes like her weighing in and being like, yeah, that looks shocking. And I get the concern, but just so you know, I actually got to try it on. And for people saying like, did they even have a woman
I
in
was
the,
just, yeah.
I'm like, of course they did. Like, look, again, I'm not a Nike fan. I love a chance to dunk on Nike, but this ain't it for me. This ain't the time. For sure they had a woman, multiple women actually on the team designing the uniforms.
Yeah. I mean, the goal is to make something that is going to look great, perform well, and people are talking highly of. Like, it's not like
Mhm.
I had the worst Olympics ever because this felt terrible. And
Right.
again, there's options too. So that's probably not going to happen anyway.
Right.
All right. Well,
Did we beat that horse?
I feel good about that. There was a lot there, and I'm just like doing the thing where I was replying while on the airplane. I'm like, this is stupid. I'm arguing on the internet. Like,
It was
why?
actually epic because Kate Fagan, which is one of my favorite people in women's sports and promoting women's sports and the way she talks about sports, she can talk about any type of sport. I mean, she was on Around the Horn at ESPN talking about men's sports too. But she literally texted me when I was with you and she was like, whoa, Des Linden coming in. And
Uh-oh.
I was like, I'm with her right now. But then she said, I see all sides of the argument. And I think that's the thing. There are points to be made all around,
Mhm.
but we didn't necessarily have to like lose our minds over it. It could have been like just a more nuanced conversation,
I,
perhaps, with a lot
and
of
I
people.
think I think like one of the frustrating things is that really big media outlets didn't take the time to give all the information. It was like, oh, this is hot right now.
Mm-hmm.
Let me weigh in. And
Right.
like, I don't know, that in general just bothers me. Obviously, call people out and then I have to call them and apologize. But I always, I try to have good conversations and
No,
not
you do
go on
it.
the internet and argue.
I will say the one thing I respect about you is that you're willing to point out the other perspective, even if like you're like, I wouldn't have worn that, but you're willing to point out this other perspective about it. And I really respect that about you. I don't think that I didn't see the Taylor Swift emoji shade when you were commenting. It was just like, hey, there is another side to this. And, like it can be true that this like looks bad and does reek of a little bit of sexism, but also this can be true, and we don't have to like burn everything else because of this one photo. And and I even keep thinking like, what if that is how the uniform fit, but someone felt comfortable in it? Well, then they should wear it.
You know who wore the buns in a Diamond League recently was Gudaf Sagai. Ran amazing, a
Hmm.
lot of range of motion, but she put the hip stickers right on the split.
Oh,
Problem solved. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I like the buns, but you know what? And like, I get it. You shouldn't be solving the problem, but it's not like it. It's not a problem. And also, like, just wait and see. Like, let's
right,
get the actual experience instead of just a weird photo.
right.
I don't know.
I know. I'm still thinking about, you're the one that pointed it out to me. Like, I feel like that photo was put out just for the clicks a little bit.
Which in which case you go like, and this was a question I had, like, who are we mad at? Like,
Right,
I'm
right.
okay, I'm good being mad, like, but and I understand that this is jarring and upsetting and yada yada yada, and they're valid things, and I'm not going to go into all of it, but like, are we mad at the people who make mannequins? Are we mad at the person who put it on the mannequin? Are we mad at the outlet that took a like? Is it the shading of the light? Like, who are we mad at?
Yeah.
Let's look at that too.
Yeah.
And then that's fine. We can all go pitchfork them.
Yeah. I mean, I'm fine with that. Just kidding.
I don't know.
Okay, moving on.
All right.
All right. Okay.
What else do we got? This is good.
I mean, we took 5 minutes for me to get the intro right, but
I bet we'll
okay,
edit
so
some.
we'll have to edit a little bit of the intro out, but we'll keep it as a blooper. We just have a couple more things to hit. I mean, we have so many things we could talk about, but we're going to move on. We're going to do the Oiselle Underbird Performance of the Week.
Right.
So Oiselle, women's apparel sponsor, sponsored me for 11 years. They are sponsoring our pod, a little run here. You can use Nobody10 to get 10% off. It's a one-time use code, but we're going to shout out some Underbird performances. I know I'm shocking you right now because we didn't necessarily talk about this. I have one in mind that I'm going to share, but you should share. You want me to go first or you want to go?
I'll go first.
Okay, go.
I'm going to give my Underbird performance to Jenny Simpson.
Oh.
1,500 meter runner, bounced back from a rough debut experience at the marathon trials, and now she crossed the line and she's a marathoner. And how cool is that? She's not, I don't know, maybe I'm missing the point of these, but I just felt like coming in, it was a little bit like of an underdog experience for her, which is probably
for sure.
I mean, it's totally unique for her. But I thought she just managed it so well. And like, she was super adaptable in that experience. It was just like, I don't care, come hell or high water, I'm crossing a finish line and I'm going to be a marathoner. And she crossed and she was like, wow, that was hard. And but she did it. And like, I don't know, those things are so meaningful. So bravo, Jenny.
I love that. And I just want to echo that. That would be like you going and running in a Diamond League 1500.
Fuck that.
Right? Right? I mean, I think people they don't understand like how hard it is and how impressive it is what she did. She wasn't born to be an elite marathoner at the highest level, but she just ran a pretty gosh darn solid, gosh darn. People are going to think that's the word. It's not, I promise. She just ran a really, really good marathon. And, she's a 3 or 4 time, I can't remember right now, medalist in the 1500, world champion in the 1500, Olympic bronze medalist. I think 2-time silver medalist. So 4-time medalist in the 1500 at the world championships or Olympics. And it was really, I think, vulnerable of her to do it. And impressive. And like I said, that would be like me, like someone just throwing me in like the Diamond League 1500 from this past weekend. Like,
except for a couple really hours instead of 4 minutes.
I mean, at least it's not as much time to be embarrassed. But anyway, it was super impressive. Okay, so I'm going to play favoritism on my pick.
Okay, that's fair.
Which is that my niece, Sophie Schoolmeister, she goes to a small school. She is a sophomore this year. Last year, she won the state meet. As a freshman, she ran 2:14 to win the state meet in the 800 last year in the small school division. But she ran 2:12 all by herself earlier this year and got invited to this really big track meet, the Oregon Relays that were at night under the lights. She was really nervous. She was racing people that have run really, really fast. And she just refused to give up and was out the back. And then as they came with the last 200, she just started coming like a freight train. And she actually moved into second place and was coming hard. And then sadly, she fell with 18 meters left. I know. But the girl that she passed, who got second, who she had passed, ran 2:09. And so it would have been this massive PR for her. 3 seconds, first time under 2:10. And I'm proud. I'm talking about her because I'm so proud that she went into a situation where she just normally runs alone, right? So she went and was racing girls that have run 2:0. That was very overwhelming. But she still ponied up and was like, I believe I deserve to be here. I'm going to run with you girls. And then afterwards, I was so worried she was going to be upset. And she was like, that was the best race of my life. And it was so awesome. Cool. She was like, yeah, I fell and ended up running 2:20, but like I was going to run 2:09. That's the best race of my life. So she was a total underdog in that race. And I was just so proud of her. So that's my Underbird of the week. Sophie Schoolmeister. Good job, Soph.
Bravo.
Yeah.
I love it.
There you go.
All right. Did we give a code with that? Did we get a code?
Yes.
Did you already do it?
10. Nobody 10 for 10% off, but it's only a one-time use code. So make sure you use it
on all the
well
things.
on all the things. And
Is it
oh, go ahead.
is it the whole order or just a product?
It's the whole order.
Yeah.
The whole
Wow.
order. And you could get my niece races in Oiselle arm sleeves, and she lost them at a meet a couple weeks ago, and she was able to get them in time for this meet. So we
So it
have a
was
lot
like
of cool
quick.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's quick. She was able to get them.
All
So
right.
anyway,
Love it.
check it out. Check out oiselle.com. Use the code. Get yourself hooked up. So there you go.
Great work. Great work. Hey, I want to just, this is a sidebar. I know we're going long, but I'm at a hotel. I don't care. You have shit to do. Sorry.
I don't.
Okay, good. We're working so hard on like preserving the soul of this podcast, and we can get
Yes.
into it on a bigger episode, but I hope that Underbird segment sits with people. I hope that people love the Koros stuff that we did earlier, and it doesn't feel like we are like, hey guys, buy the Koros watch because Koros supports us. And like, I don't want to do that. So we're trying to really work on authentic, engaging, unique ways to have our podcast funded. So please give us feedback and stick with us as we do it, because we're trying to make this something we can keep doing, but also make it,
Preserve it. I think it's fair to say that we were approached by a very big streaming platform. I think it's fair to say that.
Okay.
I mean, that's what happened. But I think it's okay for us to share that, and that we reserve the right to change our minds. But as of right now, we really want to keep this the way we have, where smaller brands that have supported us, we shout them out, and then they support us. And we'd really like to keep that. We'd really like to keep that vibe. So really, Koros, Oiselle, coming up here, we're going to shout out Olipop. Like, these brands have really supported us, and we could take this to this platform and lose that, but also we're worried we'd lose some of our authenticity. So I'm glad you said that.
Yeah. So great time to transition to
Olipop top 5.
Olipop top 5. I'm not at my house. I don't have an Olipop. Kara drank all hers because
No, I don't. I like to drink them at night though.
Oh, okay. So Olipops before bed or whenever. Top 5. How are we feeling? You want to go first? Do you want to go second? Do you want to think a little bit?
I want to go second, because then you'll have to do 3.
Okay.
And I don't have any.
All right. I put down 2. I can make a third really easily.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to start with I'm on a break, so books. I am so excited. I think when you're getting ready for the marathon in training, you're just tired. You fall asleep in the book, and then you're tapering and you're thinking about all kinds of other shit. And I just opened up a book called The Lacuna, which is like, I just started it. It's a boy who like explores this lagoon, but it's not a lagoon. It's like it's a cave that goes like really far. And so I'm just starting it, but it's beautifully written. Very excited about that. Very excited to take it with me on a vacation and enjoy a good book.
That's a great one.
Thank you.
Well done. Yes, Des is going on vacation. Okay, I'm going to say one, but I'm afraid it might be stealing one of yours, but just
0% chance.
And I mean, actually, this has to do with the hotel room you're in right now.
Oh no, go for it.
Okay, so the cutest thing happened, which is that my friend CB was like, I'm going to reach out to Des. Like, does that bother you? And then Des reached out to me. Hey, I might meet with CB. Does that bother you? And I think it's so cute that you were both so considerate, but it made my heart so happy to know that 2 of my favorite people met today and had lunch together. I know you guys have interacted over Instagram. I know you've interacted, like she created this whole word game, but you guys haven't been able to spend time together. And it really just makes me so happy that you guys did it. And now you guys are friends. It makes me happy.
Yeah, that's amazing. I'm like, you never know how people are going to respond. I just wouldn't feel comfortable being like, after sending, like I send you a picture of us hanging out, like, surprise, we're cutting you out next, like it just feels like kind of awkward. So yeah, it was very much like, hey, I want to make sure that you know that this isn't like me trying to steal your friends or something.
No, I love it. And she was the same way. So I like really feel appreciated, but also you guys are nerds. Like you can hang out. And I'm so glad that you did and that you liked each other. It just really makes me happy. So that's awesome. That's mine.
That was fun. And I texted you when I missed the start of the show because I was goofing around. I was like, oh, your friend's so sweet. And I was in here just looking out the window. All right. I'm going to go to my number 3. Uh, this is the downtime top 5. I'm gonna go
Oh
with
no.
bourbon.
Oh.
Bourbon. We got these amazing Bank of America glasses. Like it was like one of the nicest athlete gifts ever. Normally, you get a jacket that's branded with something you can't wear. You get like something that you just doesn't fit back in the bag. And I'm gonna use the shit out of these. Like they're really cool. And so I was looking through our bourbon collection, and there's this bottle that is just super dusty and it's been around a long time. And I started looking at it, I was like, oh, I wonder why we didn't open this. And I cracked it open last night. It was amazing. I looked up the price and I was like, I shouldn't have opened that. But what's the point of having really good bourbon if you don't
Yeah.
drink it? So I'm indulging on downtime, and thanks Bank of America and BAA for those beautiful glasses.
Oh, that's a good one.
We,
Cheers to
a
that.
little guest walked in. She couldn't
A
hear
little
that
guest
last part
walked
about
in.
you.
um, okay, 2 more. I'm gonna
Right.
do another one that's kind of like favoritism, but Colt had his first middle school track meet last night, and I just love watching kids run so much. Brooke sent him the nicest pair of spikes, so nobody feel bad for Colt anymore. He has everything he could want and more. But it's just cool to see him run. And, I just want to stress like he's not the best. He gets beat, but it's so fun to see him be proud of his progress and all of the other kids. I think that's what I love about youth running is there really is a spot for everybody and everyone has their own growth and their own goals. Everybody's goals are really different, but I just can't get enough. Like the meet was over and everyone's leaving and I was like, dang man, I love youth track so much. So that's my number 4.
I love that. I don't even know if I should go.
You have to. You're bringing us home.
Olipop top 4. Kara broke the game. All right. So I wrote something down while I was looking at my first set. So it said books, bourbon. So we're gonna go with the is it alliteration when you just use the same letters? I think that's what
Yeah,
it
I
is.
don't know. Sounds right.
Books, bourbon, and boys. Because my guy has been great. He was awesome in Boston. It's kind of the support team. We have the 2 boys at home. Well, no, we have one the golden Boston at home. He's our boy for right now, and then we're missing Rivers, which has really been sad. We've been pretty down about that, but those boys are great and they keep me happy. And it worked with the B. So yeah, thanks guys.
Yeah, I love it. Olipop, cheers to the boys.
Cheers, boy.
Awesome.
All right.
All right. Well, thanks for sticking with us, especially through the intro. Peace.